Will the United States even be recognizable in 20 years? That's a really good question. Today we're going to look at some of the more extreme predictions about what life in the United States of America will look like in 20 years. 20 years from today is 2043, and I'll be dead about 4 years by then. Yeah, I have an expiration date on my birth certificate. Right after my birth date, it says 2039. Now, it was probably just a serial number, but it's in a very unfortunate location. I've always taken it as my expiration date. Anyway, we just did a video on predictions for the United States by the 2028 election. That video did really well, and I had a bunch of requests for more prediction type videos. So here we are. If you think I got one of these wrong, or you think another one should have been added, let us know in the comment section below. In a few months, I'd like to do another video about what your predictions are. Alright, today we look at extreme ways life in the United States will change in 20 years. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Universal Basic Income, or UBI. Several economists have written about the need for a universal basic income in the coming years. This is in response to the increasing automation and job displacement. The United States will have to adopt a UBI program, ensuring that every citizen receives a minimum income regardless of their employment status. This initiative aims to provide a safety net and alleviate poverty, allowing individuals to meet their basic needs and pursue opportunities of personal growth, innovation, and even entrepreneurship. This, I think, is pretty obvious because more and more automation means fewer and fewer jobs. Fewer and fewer jobs means a lot more poverty. It's one thing to be poor or living in poverty when you bear most of the responsibility for the situation you're in, or you've been dealt a really bad hand like you have some kind of mental illness. That's a different story. This is just a situation when the country has more people than jobs, period. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, that's too bad for them. No, you're not going to be saying that if it's actually you that doesn't have a job. Almost like a food chain or a circle of life type situation. If you have too much poverty, you start having more crime. Then you need more police, then you need more jails, and in the end, that just costs more money than if you were to have a universal basic income. The United States has one right now, Alaska, the Permanent Fund. Alaska's Permanent Fund, which has been given residents $1,000 to $2,000 per year since 1982, is funded by the state's oil and gas revenues. Several countries have their own version of that type of thing too. I'm sure if this thing came about in the United States because of automation, there would be some sort of tax on automation and artificial intelligence that would pay for it. Number 9, renewable energy dominance. Over the next 20 years, the United States will experience a significant transition to renewable energy sources. We're in the middle of that right now, and the technology is kind of in its infancy. Technologies usually have this plateau. They get better and they keep getting better at it, keep better, and then it just kind of plateaus. Well, we're kind of at a plateau with fossil fuels. As renewable energy advances on the technological side, it will become more reliable. Along with government policies and growing environmental concerns, this will lead to a substantial reduction in carbon emissions and a more sustainable energy sector. Now, this is what a lot of different people think. I mean, college professors, people in the green energy field, even a lot of the fossil fuel companies have come out and said that this is where they're heading, and they will probably transition to a lot of these different things along with their fossil fuels. Number 8, virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, virtual reality, everyone knows you put the headphones on, you put the glasses on, and you get to see basically a computer game or a movie, whatever, with these glasses on. So that's the basic version of virtual reality. It's so much more. Augmented reality is when you put a pair of glasses on and you could see the surrounding area you're in, let's say your bedroom, but there's also other things in there that are really only on the glasses, but it looks like they're in the room with you. Perfect example of this is Pokemon Go a few years back. You could go find these little creatures, but to see them, you had to be looking through the camera of your phone with their app open. Anyway, VR and AR technologies will transform various industries. In education, students can immerse themselves in virtual environments, enhancing learning experiences. I mean, nothing's better than a teacher telling you, today we're talking about the Amazon. She hits something on her computer and everyone feels and looks like they're through the glasses, like they're in the Amazon. This has popped up on various science fiction movies in recent years, but it's not too far from the reality that we live in right now. This will also lead to entertainment experiences becoming more immersive and interactive, like going to the movies. We're not too far from a movie being not just in front of you, but all around you with the proper VR glasses on. It'll also help doctors diagnose and treat patients remotely, surgical training, different types of simulators for training. Imagine going to get a job someplace instead of an HR or a safety briefing. You got to put on a pair of goggles where they take you around to the warehouse or factory you're working at and shows you all the dangerous things. That's going to be a reality by 2020. I think that's one of the easiest ones to predict here. Number 7, sustainable agriculture and alternative food sources. That sounds like a lot, but we're just going to have new ways to make food, grow food, create food, or catch food. This is another one that's already started, but it's kind of in its infancy. Hydroponic vertical farming is one thing. They grow tomatoes straight up a vine, 2 stories if they wanted to, instead of taking up 5 acres to grow the same amount of tomatoes. You're also going to see more things like salmon farming, which basically, if you don't know what that is, they put salmon in a sunken cage. They just swim around there, grow, and get pulled out when they're needed. One thing I thought was gross, but I read quite a few things on it, but actually creating meats in a lab. That one seems a little weird. And that's salmon farming. A lot of people don't like farm-grown salmon, but the way we get our food is definitely going to change. Now, this one can change at the speed that it's progressing, depending on what the population does. If the population is growing at a fast pace, they'll put more effort into it. Population starts shrinking a little bit, they won't put as much effort into it. Now, this isn't a food source or agriculture, but I think I'm going to add this one here. Desalination plants will happen in the United States. Technology will actually make it more affordable, and they'll be able to do it. Basically, that's where you take the ocean water and turn it into fresh water. Very expensive right now, but I think as technology catches up with it, probably in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to start seeing those pop up in the Gulf of Mexico and especially on the West Coast. Number 6, personalized medicine. Now this one, I got far too into reading about it because I think it's amazing. Medical technology and genetic engineering advancements leads to an era of personalized medicine. Genetic testing and analysis allows for targeted treatments based on an individual's genetic makeup. People have had medical conditions since forever that doctors have tried to treat. Well, not every treatment works for someone. One guy gave an example. I forget the drugs that he used, but let's say it's one of the forms of type penicillin or whatever. Say it's penicillin or amoxicillin. Well, they could look at your genetic makeup and go, well, the penicillin is not going to work. We need to use this one. Some people call it precision medicine. Basically, it tailors therapies and medications to specific patients, increasing treatment effectiveness and minimizing adverse side effects. This, of course, will lead to improved health outcomes and longer lifespans. That one was just way over my pay grade from a brain standpoint, but I got the gist of it. Number 5, climate construction. Now this is going to be a weird one, mainly because the comment section is going to be ablaze with people that sold RVs their entire life. Now they're retired and they know better than 99% of the scientists out there. So I'll put it to you this way. If climate change happens the way most scientists believe it's going to happen, sea levels will rise and we will have more extreme weather events. So they're going to have to make some things and put them in place. The construction of seawalls will be a thing, along with flood prevention measures in coastal areas. We'll have new technologies in disaster response systems, including warning systems and improved emergency preparedness. Another thing they believe will happen is the border wall will be built. Climate migration will be complete chaos. It's predicted to be the same for most countries, but more advanced countries will be more prepared. At least that's the prediction. People living in the less prepared countries will start moving to places like the United States, Canada. My personal opinion is there's going to be so many different construction projects going on for a good 20 years that we really won't have to worry about that first one where people won't have jobs and have to get paid by the government, because there will be so many construction jobs building all this stuff. If you could walk, you'll be working. If you could roll, you'll be working. Number 4, space tourism is going to have a boom. Yes, the United States has become a hub for space tourism, with private companies offering commercial space travel experiences, including short trips to the orbit and eventually visits to space stations. I don't know if this will replace cruise ships in 20 years, but it's going to be on a lot of people's bucket lists. Virgin Galactic, SpaceX, what is it, Blue Horizons that Amazon has, which really sounds like a retirement home in the Bahamas. As time goes on, this will be more affordable and more people will be able to do it. I think this is going to be one of the more extreme and profitable industries coming up in the next 20 years. Number 3, extreme hamster tubes. At least that's what I call Hyperloop transportation. This is a high-speed transportation system using low-pressure tubes. Basically, they shoot you through these tubes in some kind of like train system. This is going to gain traction in the United States. Hyperloop networks will connect major cities, allowing rapid, efficient, and environmentally friendly travel at speeds that exceed 600 miles an hour. That's right now. It could be faster. You ever been on a roller coaster that just all of a sudden takes off and it's because of magnets? It's just like launched right out of the station. That's how these things will work. I know Elon Musk was working on one, and so is Virgin Galactic, or just Virgin Hyperloop it's called. I think there's a few more, but they're working on putting this together, so maybe within the next 20 years you'll be able to get shot down a tube from Dallas and get to Houston in under an hour. Number 2, blockchain is used on a massive scale. Now, blockchain is the technology behind things like Bitcoin and all the different cryptocurrencies. And that's what they, for the most part, use it right now. But I think it's going to start being used other places because it's next to impossible to hack, at least right now. There might be some technology in the future to hack it, but I'm not an expert on it. I just know they say that the short answer is blockchain itself cannot be hacked. One of the first places they'll start using it, voting. Everyone's up in arms about secure voting. This is how you eliminate all those conspiracies. At least the reasonable people, the people that just are into conspiracies to be into conspiracies, they'll find another way to put a new twist on it. This will be used in normal bank transactions. And even though it's down now, I think the cryptocurrency may be part of the US economy eventually in a big way and basically go mainstream, which it sort of has. And I think that's why it lost its momentum. Either way, we're definitely going to see blockchain being used on a massive scale. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link for that down below. And number 1, the South will break away from the United States again. Yep, I honestly think this is going to happen, or they'll at least come very close to this happening. I don't think an individual state will ever do it, and I don't think states will split, but I honestly think the South, at least the deep South states like Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, and South Carolina, I think they're going to make a run at trying to be their own country. North America was settled by people with distinct religious, political, and ethnic characteristics, and this sort of created regional culture. The Midwest, the West Coast, the Northeast part of the country. These are all very different people, almost like they're in their own countries. And I think the political divide that we talked about before, the cultural divide, and all the different things changing, a lot of these states and regions will want to pull away from the United States. And I think the only one that will get close is the Deep South. They're not going to do it through some kind of weird civil war. It's going to be done through voting and courts. There's a great book called American Nations, a history of the 11 rival regional cultures of North America. Read that book. It explains the whole thing. I'm a geography and cultural nerd. I mean, it's what interests me, so you might not find it exciting. I found it amazing. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. What do you think? Which one do you think is real? Which one do you think's gonna happen? Not gonna happen? What do you think we missed? Let me know in the comment section below. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.